Jabalia, there seems little left to destroy. And yet, fresh strikes, more panic, and another desperate search for survivors.
My message to the world is it is enough. Come to our aid. We cannot walk anymore, nor eat, nor speak. We lost our houses, our children and youth are gone. Our children's future is lost.
Some lives ended before they'd even begun. It was a long night for civil defence volunteers in Gaza's north. This was a family home. 3 are dead, many more are missing. If efforts to dig through the rubble in the dark look hopeless, it's because in the end they were. In Gaza City, Al-Shifa Hospital, the ambulances aren't bringing in patients, they're delivering the dead. Unknown child, the note on this body bag reads. Others, though, can be identified and given an all-too rushed farewell before they're taken away to be buried. At least 140 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in the last 24 hours, according to local authorities. The IDF stepped up its strikes, launching Operation Gideon's Chariots, a major new offensive to, quote, achieve the goals in this war, the release of the remaining October 7 hostages and the defeat of Hamas. To Israel, the escalation may mean the end game. To Gaza, it means more casualties, more horror and loss. To the rest of the world, it's a mark of just how unsuccessful recent international pressure on resolving this conflict has been.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
The energy of Donald Trump's inauguration promises seem to have been sapped by reality. He cut a weary figure returning from the White House from his Middle East trip, with investment deals and a renewed bond with Syria under his belt, but no grand bargain in the form of a Gaza breakthrough to boast of. Even the fist bump was at best half-hearted. He barely left the region before Israel announced its new offensive.
Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say Kachallah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutation to y'all came out there pushing the word of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, sincerity and truth. The brother Ariel, this is World War III Algo update, and they're making some of their final moves. They're making some of their final moves. Trump went over there to the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, and they're confirming more basically deals that they want to complete for the MOTB, these new systems that they want to do. And we're getting there. They're trying to make sure that they clear out the Palestinians. They say it's against Hamas. It's really against all those Palestinians. Clear them out so they can take over different regions. They want to take the Golan Heights too. They're not playing around. They want to take all of that stuff. So it's no games. It's no games, man. There's no games being played. This whole thing, they want to take the West Bank. They want to go up here. When you look at it and take over those regions, and they're making moves. They're making moves. When you read Jeremiah 49:20, we read it all the time. It says, "And therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their inhabitants desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, at the cry. The noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea." So they're going to be having wars. These things are going to continue to escalate as they move forward with these, strikes. I went to, shit hitting the fan, plan.com, and they had this article. Israel started a major ground operation against Gaza. All right. It says the IDF confirmed that it has begun an extensive ground operation across both the northern and southern parts of the enclave, even as negotiations over a possible ceasefire and hostage release continue in Qatar. The large-scale ground campaign in Gaza started on Sunday following a wave of overnight airstrikes that killed more than 100 people. It says, according to a report by RT, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office made a statement about the incursion on Sunday. It said the negotiation team in Doha is working to exhaust every possibility for a deal, but emphasized that any potential agreement must include the release of all hostages, the expulsion of Hamas members from Gaza, and the full disarmament of the territory. See? So they're trying to completely take this thing over, bro. Because they're getting ready for that final push for the MOTV systems and everything like that. We know it's going to escalate into World War III, though. That's why Scripture says the least shall draw them out. It's never going to stop. Now, currently, Trump is making these deals with Syria because, you know, Syria's got that new leader over there, that former Al-Qaeda leader. We don't know how they're going to act. We don't know how they're going to move. But it's just more pieces that we know is going to stir the pot. Okay? It says medical officials in Gaza say that hospitals are now struggling to cope with the rising number of wounded people. Hospitals are overwhelmed by the growing number of casualties, many of them children, and are facing severe shortages of medical supplies, according to the Gaza Health Ministry spokesperson. Let's see. Yeah, of course. Israel claims the civilian injuries are the fault of the terrorist organization Hamas for using densely populated areas for its military operations. But we never see any military stuff whenever they're bombing. It's just random people standing around. I'm going to go to this. Hold on just 1 second. Just 1 second, y'all. So you had this with Trump with the UAE and the US AI cluster presentation. The brother Wakari Kwam sent me this. These are the things that they're planning.
Welcome to the new epicenter of innovation, where American ingenuity meets Emirati vision and abundant energy fuels progress.
Look at that.
Here, pioneering AI on the cutting edge of technological discovery takes us into the future.
So boom, so they want to clear out, they want basically the land of Jerusalem to be the capital of the next New World Order total digital age control grid system. So they need to clear out all of their enemies. And so that's what they're doing, man. That's what they're doing. They're setting it up. That's why it says Psalms 141, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man, preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. These are part of their mischiefs. All right? Continually are they gathered together for war. All right? So while they doing this, talking about peace deals, making stuff better, while they doing that, the state of Israel is bombing the shit out of women and children, wanting to clear out that land so they can come in and build it back up for what they want. All right? Verse 3 says, they have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Selah. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent men who have purpose to overthrow my groanings. And so, you know, this is the mindset. So as they have these deals, they're all in cahoots on these new digital AI systems that they want to implement. Okay? Okay, so let me play this.
On Wednesday in Saudi Arabia, President Trump met with Syria's new leader just 1 day after announcing he's lifting sanctions on the country. The move came amidst a flurry of other activity when the president signed a deal with... Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. U.S. President Donald Trump made a game-changing trip to the Gulf states this week, and he announced a series of bold economic and political initiatives that will have a major impact on the region, the U.S. and Israel. He also warned Tehran that time is running out to reach an agreement on its nuclear program. Here's the series of events from this historic visit. On Wednesday in Saudi Arabia, President Trump met with Syria's new leader just 1 day after announcing he's lifting sanctions on the country. The move came amidst a flurry of other activity when the president signed a deal worth hundreds of billions of dollars with the Saudi kingdom, encouraged the crown prince to recognize Israel, and issued a new warning to Iran. The deals with Saudi Arabia amount to about $600 billion, including a $142 billion arms agreement. at the Saudi invasion.
So boom, right there, arms agreement. So they're arming these guys up, all right. And meanwhile, they're bucking and making threats. They're bucking and making threats at the Persians, at the Iranians, all right. Getting ready to have clashes with these people, man. Right? Joel chapter 3 verse 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. See, and that's how the weak can say that they're strong, because they're getting these armaments from the West, from the United States. Right? Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Okay? This is how these things get prepared, man. The algorithm of World War III. Putting missiles and tanks and everything into everybody's hands round about. They're going to use them. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow. For the wickedness is great, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And we see all of these little chess piece moves being made to prepare for World War III.
Minister conference, President Trump said he hopes Saudi Arabia will join the Abraham Accords.
It's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but will soon be joining the Abraham Accords. But it will be a special day in the Middle East with the whole world watching when Saudi Arabia joins us, and you'll be greatly honoring me, and you'll be greatly honoring all of those people that have fought so hard for the Middle East, and I really think it's going to be something special, but you'll do it in your own time.
He also criticized the regime in Tehran and blamed it for much of the turmoil in the Middle East.
The biggest and most destructive of these forces is the regime in Iran, which has caused unthinkable suffering in Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Iraq, Yemen, and beyond.
And he issued an ultimatum.
I want to make a deal with Iran. If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very happy if we're going to make your region and the world a safer place. But if Iran's leadership rejects this olive branch and continues to attack their neighbors, then we will have no choice but to inflict massive maximum pressure, drive Iranian oil exports to zero like I did before, and take all action required to stop the regime from ever having a nuclear weapon. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
Trump also announced the U.S. has taken steps to normalize relations with Syria and will lift sanctions at the urging of Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman and Turkish President Erdogan. In his meeting with Syrian President al-Shara Wednesday, Trump encouraged him to join the Abraham Accords and to tell all foreign terrorists to leave Syria. However, some question if al-Shara, a former al-Qaeda commander, can be trusted.
He don't change. He speak maybe moderate, but particularly in facts, he is a radical Sunni man. I talked to people, this radical group, they said we will make our country Islamic Republic.
Cito says minorities in Syria are fearful of the new government.
We need protection. All these countries supported radical Islam, radical Sunni groups in Syria. We are in fear. They have to help us.
So it's just a powder keg over there. You know, the scriptures talk about Ishmael being a wild man and his hand being against all of his brothers. And we're going to see that. Now, when it comes to the case of Iran, Iran said it's going to continue to enrich its uranium. Let me see. Let's see. Brother Prashad sent me something about that earlier today.
Well, Iran's president says his country will continue negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program. However, he said Tehran will not retreat despite threats from the U.S. During his trip to the Middle East last week, President Trump told reporters that Iran has to move forward in the negotiations with the U.S. or, quote, something bad's going to happen. The U.S. and Iran wrapped up their fourth round of talks in Oman on May 11th. We want to bring in Dan Raviv now. He's the host of the Mossad Files podcast. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. So how close do you think we are to actually getting a deal between Washington and Tehran?
Well, good morning, Michael. Of course, it's hard to tell. There is another round of talks scheduled this coming weekend in Rome. And this past weekend, Iran's foreign minister in charge of the talks on their side met with the foreign ministers of two Arab countries, Qatar and Oman, that often has acted as mediators. Now, the word from the Trump administration is it's very simple. Iran cannot have the ability to enrich uranium because highly enriched uranium could be used in a nuclear bomb. Iran, on the other hand, is saying as recently as this morning that if the U.S. stands on that, no ability to enrich, then the talks are going nowhere. So I wouldn't be too optimistic, but President Trump really made it clear that there isn't that much time, and the threat that he issued is pretty clear that there'd be a U.S. military strike on Iran's nuclear facilities if a deal cannot be reached. So I think we're at a very kind of tense time, and it has to do whether Iran possibly could have the potential of developing a nuclear bomb.
Right. So they got these nuclear facilities where they want to enrich uranium for energy purposes, but the United States and the West are saying, nah, y'all have the ability to turn this into a bomb. We ain't letting y'all do that, which is increasing tensions between the U.S., all of its allies, and Iran, which if that does happen, then you definitely will have issues with Russia, which is one of the chief allies of Iran. So all of these things are pieces that are set up, with the United States giving more weapons and armament to Saudi Arabia and the different allies for these different deals, economic deals that they're trying to get moved forward. Here in 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 28 in the GNT, it says, "Then in the east you will suddenly see a fearsome sight. Arab armies with many chariots will advance like dragons. As soon as they start out, the sound of their hissing will spread across the world and bring fear and trembling to everyone who hears it. The Carmenians, right, that's the Iranians, will come out of the forest in a fierce rage like wild boars advancing in full strength to attack the dragons. With their tusks, they will tear up a large part of Assyria, but the dragons will unite their forces, regain their former strength, and win the victory. And they will turn and pursue the wild boars, who will be thrown into panic, beaten into silence, and forced to turn and run." So, there are going to be these regional conflicts that stir up, but that ultimately to what we read about here in the book of Joel, which is that the Most High bringing ultimate judgment in the valley of Jehoshaphat, where all these nations are going to be destroyed, and ultimately even Babylon the Great, which is America, because missiles are going to be sent on America after all the mayhem goes down, man. So we got more and more movement between, with the state of Israel basically advancing and killing more of the Palestinians over there in the Gaza Strip. And then basically on the MOTB front, Trump basically trying to make will and deal to get everybody on the side of the U.S. so they can stamp down, and basically they want to just take over the whole Middle East region, bro. So we're going to see how these things continue to escalate. We keep watching, but I just wanted to do a quick update on that and talk about those couple of things that I saw in the news. With that being said, I'm going to say, call hello, Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Wadash. Double honor to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, since he giving truth. Shalom.